recording. Okay.
I'd like to call the meeting to the Inland Wetlands Commission for April 6th to order. And I'd like to seat an alternate, Steve Biala, as a fourth member, so we can have a quorum. First, I'd like to, there's no citizens, so I'm not even going to ask. I have the minutes. If anybody looked them over, is there any deletions, corrections to the minutes?
I have one correction.
Would you just, we're seated far enough?
Yeah, you can take
your
it.
mask down. Thanks.
One correction on page 3, the sentence beginning, Commissioner Rogan made a motion. And after that, it should say that the commission imposed an extension of the public hearing for application 20-12W through the April meeting. And then it continues, seconded by Commissioner Pavano.
All right, thank you.
Can you motion for that? Do you have a motion to accept?
Make a motion to accept.
As
Stated.
corrected.
Got a second? I'll second. But I can vote. All in favor? Aye. Steve, if you can speak up when anything as time as a motion, we'd appreciate it. So continue on. I'd like to open the public hearing for application 20-12. Can I get a motion to open, please?
Make a motion open application 20-12W. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good evening, Attorney Tim Sullivan on behalf of the applicant again. I'll be brief. I don't think we have much of a presentation tonight. I know Bart's going to go over some of the changes that have been made to the plans and the wetlands report, but we're still waiting for the endangered species letter from DEP, and that kind of grounds us to a halt in terms of moving forward. So I will ask the commission to once again impose an extension to the May meeting. Is it May 6th, I think? I believe it's May 6th, but if you could just to the May meeting, and hopefully we'll have the endangered species letter by then.
Very good. Thanks, Tim.
I'll turn it over to Bart.
Just for 5 minutes. Or program, did you call this on? Okay. As Tim mentioned, I just want to briefly go over the change. We did a pretty substantial revision, and instead of
All right, don't take your mask off, just so Lisa can.
So instead of giving you piecemeal plans, it's not like something just recently the entire revised set. And I know that could get confusing to some of you. So what I'm going to do is, I was trying to figure out a way to present this. And I kind of done my notes. So I think it's just easier to give you my presentation notes to have them, and then you can kind of go through them with me, and we can quickly go through the changes. The project substantially has not changed at all. What we've done is just kind of cleaned up the set and put some additional information on it. The biggest thing in this commission, we've added 2 additional small little direct impacts to the site. And this was done basically clean up the record, make sure we had all the impacts on the plan, but there were 2. If you refer to your overall plan, the first impact we call number 17. There was a intubated water course that kind of floats from a stop. That was something that sort of science and environmental service to do when they flagged up. I've got a couple pictures to show the commission, and you can keep these pictures, and I will make additional copies when I get back to the office. I kind of forgot to do them, so I had to do them at home. But there's 2 pictures of this internet water course. This first picture is taken looking back up towards the sign for Ragged Mountain, and you can see the sign here in the corner. And you'll see how that's just a fairly small little depression in the ground. There's a little bit of ice in there you'll see. And then the second picture is taken down, looking southerly to where it ends. And you can see a pink flag here, and then a dot of a pink flag up there. That is the end of the intermittent water course. And then it just dies out and flows over land. And you'll see there's not much of any kind of depression in the ground where the water flows. Fun stuff passes around, and hopefully you can take a look at them. But what we propose to do is take that intermittent water course and collect it for a drop inlet structure and then discharge it across the road and then let it flow over land. The impacts, the more significant impact is the impact to the intermittent water course. I'm taking about 26 feet of that water course and directing it down through the outside. But when I look at the impacts, I come up with 130 square feet of impacts. That's about a 4 wide swath. So that's less than 3,000ths of an acre of impact in that location. And then our second new impact is it located here along the property line. This is a Harvest Hill, this is Glenview. A property owner in this location, Mr. Stewart, contacted me and contacted Jim. After the last meeting, Jim and I both went down, we observed an area to the rear of his property, there's a manhole, there's a small little 15-inch pipe that kind of sticks out at the end of it. And what that does is that helps water some of that wetlands back in it. And I was a little concerned about putting a big flow end or something that might change the hydraulics of the wetlands back through there, but I also was concerned about his problem with the blockage of that 15-inch pipe. There's no flare end, there's nothing there. So the branches come down, they'll block that pipe and they'll cause a backup. So what we're proposing is a small little trash rack. And again, that's shown on sheet B7. So you look at your plans, you can see the detail. And essentially it's a 2x2 structure that the trash rack is located on the outside. Gives it about 2.5 times greater surface to trash to back up. And then if that's up, it will overtop it and go back in the pipe. So the pipe was never going to be blocked. The outside was blocked and then you had a weird flow going in. So that was only 4 square feet of impact. I think I'm calling that 16 square feet just because we're probably going to have to be out bigger. But it's a precast structure. They can go over the end and dig it out, put some stone, drop the little precast structure in there, and it's done. So it's probably half a day's worth of work. It really is on the outer fringe of that wetland, and it's not anything major. I'd be happy to bring a couple more pictures. I didn't happen to snap some. If you want to see that, or you take a walk, you can see that.
Is this something you discussed with the homeowner?
The homeowner Jim was on the site with me. We kind of talked about it after. I actually sent Mr. Stewart today a copy of the plan, so he had the plan. He can look at it, he can comment on it as well. It's not going to solve all blockage issues, but I think it's a good start. And as Jim said, if it doesn't work, we ain't get back out. But it's better than putting the flow in because the flow end will have more impact. It could change kind of hydraulics in the whole area. We don't want to take more water in there, or do we want to put less water in there? We just want to stop the branches and leave some clogging up the pipe. So that's how we came up. So I've added those 2 impacts. And I've listed the page that you can find all those things on. This first thing being on the site plans, the road profile of the sheet for the parking lot area shown on multiple sheets. In addition, what we've done.
Can you go that parking lot thing? So you're putting a drain under the driveway? Yeah, okay.
What's going to happen is we're going to flow it in around, and that structure is going to be up about a foot. The water's going to drop into the structure, then pass under the road, and we're going to pass it through underneath our road. So all this water will not be intercepted within the storm sewer system and will pass separate our section. And again, there's a detail located on the plans. I see everybody's got the travel plans here. The other stuff are just changes that I've done. The most notably being we've created a note sheet. So instead of having all the notes spread around like this sheet was all filed, we created a whole sheet just for notes. And important parts of that is we provided the mitigation of buffer plantings. So we put recommendations for plantings and how those plantings should be installed. If you remember the SNF, the soil science environmental report suggested buffer plantings in all the areas cleaned out within 25 feet of the wetlands to provide shade. And we've also provided planting recommendations for the wetland. So that's all included on there. We've also included wet mix and conservation mix seed mixtures. So those are clearly stated on the plan. We added a note. There was a question that was raised during the week regarding runoff from some of these development areas of whether this stuff was going to shoot off the back. It's our intent to drag everything forward, all the impervious surface back into the road, into the drainage system. So we added a note on the plans that state the record that all leaves will be directed towards the road or towards the storm sewer. The only one exception is this lot right here. But that amount's going to flow within the convention area anyway, so it's not going to be accepted out. The help the land trust made a recommendation regarding non-organic fertilizers being applied and are being prohibited fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides. We added that note to the plan. And we've also put a note regarding the land trust of the recommendation regarding markers for conservation easements in wetland areas. So we've added that to the plan. And I should note that mitigation and buffer plan also has some stipulation that soil science and environmental services also recommended a 5-year monitoring of the new plantings in the impact areas so that no invasive species would encroach into those areas and those plantings would take. We've also included that recommendation on the plan. We've also on our index sheet that we had, we've also had a couple more sheets, which we'll talk about in a second. Well, let's talk about it now. The first thing, we've blown up this area around the mitigation area, provided more notes, provided more information, provided a lot of those same construction notes for the mitigation area. So people working on mitigation plan will clearly see what's going on. We provided an enlargement for this area. So you can more of what we're proposing from the standpoint of activity within the areas and the fences and the trash route I just talked about. We've also added the grading. We've graded all these units now. So all these units have grades, and that's shown on anywhere from the set plans, the profiles, to the detention pond plans, to the erosion sedimentation plans. So all those were added and changed. Then DCP4, which was a detail for the parking lot, we've added a detail for the drop structure. We've added a sheet, a D5 for the mitigation. I talked about that. We've also done an enlargement for the construction of the bridge and the wetlands crossing. I know there's some questions raised about the maintenance and future long-term. That notes have been added for the maintenance and implementation of that area. Recommended number one that maintenance is done on a periodic basis, it's a yearly basis on that, so the bridge shouldn't get out of shape. And if there is any major repair or damage done to it, they're going to have to come back before this commission for a new permit, depending on the extent of the repairs. And we've also provided a plan, not so much for you, but for the present zoning commission submission. This each one of these you have typical grading and landscaping and sidewalk plan. So all in all, it's about every sheet got changed to a certain extent. From our standpoint, we've complied with just about every question and concern that was raised through either the land trust, some members of the public, and through the soil science environmental assessment. So we basically got these plans to a point now. So except for the endangered species that we're waiting for, and Jen was going to start looking at the site on some of these areas for potential vernal pools. That season has come. I think she started that work in earnest. She's done half a week, a certain period of time, and make some periodic inspections out there. So we're kind of waiting for that information. But from the standpoint of all those other conditions, concerns, and comments, we've tried to incorporate those all on the plans. So, questions? I think I might have minutes.
Anybody on the commission have a question?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, I think I saw in some of your notes in your revisions.
Yep.
And I may get this wrong, but there were sections that had alternatives. And you've now kind of set on something that removed an alternative.
The major alternative was this bridge crossing. And we're going to talk about alternatives where we ended up moving this. And the reason we moved it instead of giving an alternative, because it was blatantly obvious the alternative was a better scenario. I think I talked about some of those numbers.
You did. My particular question had to do, I think in that discussion, there was talk about like an existing footpath.
And that's where this is located.
And so now you're putting it on the
We're
existing.
putting it with the footpath. I also did some investigation in some of the areas. It's just not a footpath, but before there was an old farm road that used to service some of these fields through here. So this is a highly disturbed area. So by moving this whole area down, number one, we've reduced impacts, especially around the perimeter area. But we've also placed things in areas where we don't have the bushes and the trees and the large vegetation masses that we would have here. We probably would have had to cut down 10, 15 trees and be down there and cut our way through that. It's all being eliminated because we're going to be going through that area anyway. That's previously disturbed. As we put the force, we're going to restore. It's going to be in better condition than when we left it. We're not going to damage at all that second across.
Okay.
So that's why I eliminated the alternative, because the alternative was the.
Yeah, I wanted to get clear in my mind what you were saying about that previous disturbed footpath and how you were
Right.
handling that.
You know, there was a minor increase in length through the wetlands,
Right.
like that offsetting everything in the reduction of the square footage, especially in some of the perimeter areas around here. It was pretty obvious that that was the way.
Thank you.
I think we're.
Steve, do you have any comments or questions?
Nothing.
All right. Is there anybody from the audience who has a comment or question for Mr. Bovee or the attorney?
Yes, Enzo Di Benedetto, 88 Glenview Drive. I'm not sure if I heard the answer regarding the watershed flow diagram. Question about how those were calculated due to loss of permeability of the development, even if the flows are headed toward the road, but more regarding toward the backyards of the condos.
Well, there's two things to remember when you look at this. Even though there are going to be some yards that will pitch towards the rear of the property, we are reducing the overall square footage of that area. That includes that road and all the impervious surface. So when you look at the entire entity of what you're proposing between the runoff going to back and being worked through the detention structure and having a net zero impact off, we are also reducing those flows off the backs of those houses. So in essence, we're reducing the flows coming off naturally, and we're reducing the flows coming from the impervious surface through the detention area. So we are not increasing any surface flows coming off the site into the wetlands. We are reducing all those flows or keeping them at zero in the case of both the detention areas.
Okay, no, I was just curious because the fact that there were arrows to me acknowledges that there are flows coming toward our properties, and from
those were intended to depict the existing flow that left the site, not the finished product, but the original flow. So I have the map here that I presented.
right, that's the one with the blue.
I'll show the commission, and then I'll show the television. We did not depict any proposed buildings within those areas. Those are the natural flows that came down. When you put buildings and you take off a portion of those, you're going to actually reduce the surface runoff. You're going to reduce the drainage area that those areas incorporated, and that's going to be routed through the detention area. So,
But I didn't remember seeing any detention areas on the Glenview side of the development. They all seem to be toward the north.
if I may point this to the screen, Mr. Chairman.
Get right to that.
That's the screen. There are three areas
Close.
that are dividing the watershed up. Most of that watershed is going to go toward, let me get my bearings since it's upside down, towards the Glenview side. This detention area here is going to take most of this runoff within these units, route it through here, and then it's going to come around this way and flow down through that existing 42-inch pipe and out. The drainage area here, the two detention area here is one's going to take the water from the immediate intersection, and then the second one's going to take the water in this area and route it through this side. If I'm not mistaken, your property is right in the middle here. This is the highest part of the wetlands right here. It is wetland, and it's probably only a foot higher, but it is the higher part of the wetland. So most of this water flows to that wetlands, to your side lot, and back over to the wetland here, where the existing pipes are. This whole area at one time was a wetland and it was filled in. And unfortunately, you live at the kind of the corner where you probably have about 60% of your lot abuts wetlands, but most of this water here is going to flow diagonally out through that existing wetlands here, and most of this water here is going to flow out and out through the 42-inch pipe.
Yeah, well, I mean, right now, a portion of my backyard is pretty mucky. When it rains, doesn't drain.
Is there any other questions or comments for the applicants?
Yeah, Joe Pagliarulli,
Do you have any
56
changes?
Stevie Drive.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, one quick question for, in terms of the analysis of
Hang on. Tim Pegley has a comment.
I understand that a visit was paid to the pipe that goes from the wetlands to Glenview Drive and then through another easement to Harvest Hill. You keep referring to a 42-inch line, but what did you find when you came out and did your field visit, Bart? Was it a 42 all the way out to the wetlands? And if in fact you based your calculations on what it could take on the fact that it was a 42 and it's not, how will that impact Glenview Drive? That's my question.
We've observed two inlets at the Glenview Drive. One is a 42-inch pipe that takes most of the water course that drains through and then routes it parallel to the back property lines and then discharges it through that pipe across Glenview and out eventually the South Slope and discharge. There's also a 15-inch pipe at the second manhole. There's a manhole as it turns 90 going from northwest to southeast, and there's a manhole in that location. There is a 15-inch pipe, a short, maybe 6-foot pipe that sticks out of that manhole and does drain some of the wetlands. That was the structure or the pipe I was referencing that Mr. Stewart invited me to go, and I brought Jim along, and we both witnessed that pipe. That's a different pipe. We can't figure out how or why it was built. It appears it was built during the original subdivision, but there's no record of plans or anything that I can find on that. So what we're going to try to do is incorporate that 15-inch into the plan. It's probably not really affecting the capacity of the pipe so much as it is as more of a maintenance problem. And as that pipe backs up and gets leaves and backs up, the water tends to back up and becomes a little higher. If we can eliminate the trash and the leaves and the branches that back up behind that pipe, we in theory are going to force that water down just a tad lower, and then what artificially backs up, and it's going to find its way into the pipe further to the southeast and into the 42-inch.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Okay,
Jim?
Roseanne Alicata, 66 Glenview Drive, Kensington. Okay, I want to know if these proposals have been addressed to the zoning commission yet.
The process is you work through the Wetlands Commission first, and then you apply to the planning and zoning. So no, we have not submitted formally for planning and zoning yet. We're still in the wetlands approval process.
Okay. Is there any anticipation of getting into the zoning?
We hope
Like
to
within
do
the
it
next
shortly.
month?
I can't give you an exact date, but we hope to do it shortly. We're kind of dependent on getting this information from the state, and we have to talk to the planner.
That's great. Next question, Mr. Horrible. Any chance in for the May commission meeting that we can attend in person due to the fact that most of us have gotten our second COVID vaccinations?
Yes, you actually can as we speak, and we've advertised that the past two meetings.
Do we have to bring any kind of documentation that shows that we've been vaccinated?
We have not required that. We ask that you wear a mask and we keep socially distanced. As you see the commission this evening, sitting at least 6 feet apart, along with the presenters. The other applicants are in the lobby so that we're not crowding the room. So you're more than welcome to attend.
Okay, thank you.
Art, I have one quick question.
Anybody else?
One more quick question. In terms of the analysis of the vernal pool, we're probably looking at April and May for that type of analysis based upon the state's requirements.
Yeah, I think she's started the process already. Once the snow melted and we got a couple good rains, she started the fertile process. She's a lot more in tune to the dates than I am. So we're anticipating getting some results during probably the middle or end of this month. Whether we're going to make it for getting plans revised if we need to before your next submission date or what, I can't tell you, but we're working towards that goal.
And one more question, Mr. Chairman, one more question for Attorney Sullivan. In terms of the extensions that are granted, from what I understand, the governor extended the executive orders. So you would be requesting the timeframes that are allowed to extend the hearing beyond the typical timeframes?
Yes, that's true. And as I stated in my initial presentation, we would be looking,
Go forward a little bit more.
we would be looking for the commission to impose another extension to the May 4th. I think it said May 6th.
Okay,
When I checked the calendar, it's actually a May 4th meeting.
thank you.
Yeah.
So you,
Well, I want to make sure there's no more questions. Any more questions or comments for Attorney Sullivan or Mr. Bovee? If not, I'd like to get a motion to impose the extension for May meeting
Make a motion to continue the public hearing
to impose an extension.
to impose an extension, application 20-12W.
May I have a second? Second. All in favor? All right. Steve?
Repeat that.
Steve, I need a yes.
move to accept.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you,
Mr. Sullivan, Attorney Sullivan, Mr. Bovee, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you at next meeting. Lisa, can you see if Mr. Olson is out in the,
Called and he's not needed in person.
okay,
I told him I'd call him in the morning.
okay,
It was my impression from Jim that you all were going to look at the information that was provided
yeah,
and make your decisions tonight.
well, then I'm need a motion to open the public hearing for 20-13 WF.
Make a motion to open the public hearing for application 20-13 WF.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Commissioner, aye.
Yeah. The only thing with this is, these says that on the plans, it states that everything has to be done, planted in by September 13th, I think it is, 15th. And that all the plantings and the seeding, whatever they are, they have to be, not from a Home Depot or Lowe's, they have to be from reputable, and then the tags will be given to staff, to Jim. So he can approve it and make sure what he's planting is what's on plan. Is that correct, Jim?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, yeah, if I can add a comment, we've worked with Mr. Olson's environmentalist, to put a plan together. He has recommended a number of areas to be restored, along with also allowing him to perform some stream channel work to protect his home against the foundation. We're requesting that work be completed by September 15th, so we get into the summer and the planting season. The work along the stream is done during the low flow periods. The planting is done prior to September 15th. Probably the best scenario is, planting from August to September, so we're not in the dry season, we're getting into the fall. And we're requesting that all the tags from both the seed mixtures and the plantings be forwarded to us to ensure that he complies with the plan. Other than that, I would
And all that
recommend,
is, and all that is done,
yes, all of that is
and all that
in
is
the
on the
plan.
plans.
Yes, and the environmental report. So at this point, from a staff standpoint, I think we can put this situation to rest in terms of the violations that occurred on site.
Anybody, Gary or Rick, anybody, any comments to make or anything like this? No. Otherwise, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing for 20-13 WF.
Make a motion to close 20-13 WF.
Have a second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now I'd like to have a motion to approve accept the proposal for 20-13 WF as stated on the plans.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Yep.
Lavanda.
20-13 W with the conditions, right?
Condition them on the plans.
With the conditions on the plan.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in
Taylor
favor?
Junior, second.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Now to the regular meeting. Regular meeting application 21-04W, proposal by CRC Home Builders LLC to construct a residential structure and associated improvements within upland review area on lot 47, block 120, Whitney Lane. Mrs. CRC. How you can take your mask off, there's enough people here. So, okay.
And would you just, let's move this out of the way and let you be in the,
Yeah, in the camera, so.
that's good.
We want to see you, Carl.
Yeah, I want to see you too, Jim. I've been waiting.
Good.
All right.
Okay, thanks.
I think it's pretty straightforward. I guess you talked to Jim and we had some things that Jack had put on the plan as far as having us fertilizers. And I think that was about all that you asked for, right, Jim?
Yes, it is. Mr. Chairman, we were concerned with the use of pesticides and fertilizers being adjacent to Silver Lake. So the engineer placed some notes on the plan identifying what could be used and what couldn't be used. And other than that, we're fine with it. He's essentially constructing a
You're
new
basically going over.
within the footprint of an existing or where the former home was on the property.
That's what I was gonna ask, Carlos. This is basically, you're just taking the footprint that was there and rebuilding it, basically.
Right. Actually making it more, it complies better than it was.
So it's not a larger footprint,
No,
basically the same.
it's actually a little smaller than now it's, before the footprint, the house was physically on the lot next door before. That's how far over it encroached, not the building, the whole building. So part of the building. So anyway, now it complies, the side yards, everything there is good, and it'll be a lot better than that.
And you're okay with everything, Jim, right?
Correct. Yes.
So can I have a motion to approve application 21-04W?
Make a motion to approve application 21-04W.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Carly, good to go.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, sir.
And the next is application 21-0W05WF, proposal by Ricardo. Is it George?
Yes.
To construct a residential structure and appendixes within an upland review area and flood zone on lot 2A, block 108, Norton Road.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure the applicant is available this evening. Is he present in the room?
No,
No.
Are you?
Ray Dreamer
Okay,
just came in from water.
okay.
I thought
Can we
Ray
just-
was.
can we table it, Jim, or-
So, no, at this point, I would just let the commission know that the the construction of a home on this lot was previously approved. I want to say it goes back 4, 5, 6 years ago. And the commission approved the construction being site specific. Obviously, it sits adjacent to Norton Pond, the old Teen Mountain property. The home was approved several years ago. A portion of the grading around the structure fell within the upland review area. And the commission at that time approved it being site specific as far as the actual footprint of the home. Property was sold. A new, obviously, a new property owner came in. They have different plans for the property, but the home itself falls out of the original footprint, but is still, outside of the regulated area, being within the upland review area. And it's just, we've got to go through the motions to approve it accordingly, as it's been submitted. So at this point, unless there's any question from commission members, I would recommend we table it until the next meeting, and we can certainly take action on it at that point.
Because we have to wait 30 days anyways, right, Jim?
Correct.
So nobody has any comments or questions? I'd like to make a motion to table or to, I guess, table the motion.
Table or continue? I'll table, right? Yeah.
Table it till the May meeting.
Right, application 21-0W05WF.
All right, I make an application to table application 21-05WF till the May meeting.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that's it. Jim, any correspondence or anything?
Nothing new has come through at this point.
Just gonna make
Unless
sure you're gonna take care of yourself and be at next meeting.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Anything else, Lisa?
No.
Then if not, I'd like to have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in
I'll second
favor?
that one.
Aye.
Aye.
Wow,
7:46.
wow.
Adjourn. Thank you, gentlemen.
Have a good one, gentlemen. Have a good
That's a
one,
record.
Lisa.
Really?